I've seen some stuff in the media like this is really personal between me and Oleksandr Usyk. This is not. It's not personal. It's strictly business for both fighters. There's a lot of stuff on the line.
When the giant Tyson Fury arrived in Saudi Arabia from Malta, where he had a rigorous training camp in preparation for the rematch of the Unified World Heavyweight Championship, he nearly lost to the Furies, who have once again raged throughout the boxing world because they simply cannot stop throwing tantrums. As they were starting media duties, press conferences, and weigh-ins for their fight week, Tyson Fury was with his teammates, including coaches Sugar Hill Stewart Andy Lee and his father John Fury. Coincidentally, Oleksandr Usyk was also traveling to the country. A few days later, he was in camp and had put some slug in because I had slaughtered it and I slaughtered him because he needed it, and you will see the results of that Saturday. However, their collision became problematic when Oleksandr Usyk chose to play mind games with Tyson Fury at the airport, continuing his hitman act. He approached the British boxer and feigned punches, promising to beat him so hard that his father would grieve for him. That was all it took for the Furies to get enraged and start a fight, and shortly after, John Fury approached Oleksandr Usyk and continued to rant while attempting to shove the. It was interesting to see that Oleksandr Usyk didn't just continue from where he stopped in the pre-fight press conference, but he increased the intensity of whatever he was doing. The day was saved from trouble because John Fury wasn't there to stop Tyson Fury from signing Unified World Heavyweight Champion but if those who prevented him from reaching the Ukrainian had prevented him from doing so, he probably would have met the same end as his son on May 18. Usyk's photo or altercation. Usyk for taking this action. The pre-fight press conference for their highly anticipated heavyweight rematch has just concluded at the magnificent Guildhall in London, and it was undoubtedly a rather unique watch with one-word answers, fancy dress costumes, and even a gunfight between the two fighters. The press conference weeks ago had the fighters troll themselves and fire shots at each other, but there was no anonymity or chaos between the two fighters. Cheeky tickle to complete the performance. I need to be a little more determined and a little more intelligent to win because it seems like I always end up knocking him out in rematches. In May of this year, Oleksandr Usyk was crowned the world's undisputed heavyweight champion after he recovered from a difficult opening stanza to wobble and then outworked Tyson Fury in what was an extremely close but definitely. The rematch is now scheduled for December 21 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, following the Ukrainians' thrilling victory. Earlier today, the two boxing kings had an odd pre-fight news conference, with Oleksandr Usyk appearing in an Agent 47 outfit from the popular video game series Hitman. In addition to donning the recognizable Agent 47 outfit and shaving his head, Usyk had also gone into character by bringing a military-grade briefcase that amusingly contained a photo of I'm hoping for something similar in this second bout with Usyk, who I've fought more than once and who has been knocked out in the rematch, by landing one of his trademark overhand left hands on the Gypsy King. I never want to back down from a joke. When Tyson Fury was pleased to accompany Usyk's hitman, he would sign the photo and give it back to the dominating 220 champion while his trainer laughed and said, "You can find this on eBay tomorrow." Impersonation, but it doesn't mean the British superstar didn't have a foreboding message of his own preparedness and readiness. If I want to win, I need to be a little bit more focused and a little bit wiser. Thanked Fury before pointing out that rematches have only ever gone one way for him in his career. Music. Fans were persuaded by former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury that his training for the rematch with Ukrainian Oleksandr Usyk is as you can see, I'm counting down the days until I can get my redemption on the US stage. The Gypsy King is looking to exact revenge on his Ukrainian opponent after his unbeaten record was broken after Usyk became the unified heavyweight champion last May. He is at his best in his career after displaying a completely different physique during his sparring sessions. My time is set for December 21st. I've given boxing my all, but unlike him, I'm not returning for a defeat and I'm enjoying it. Bespoke prior to his rematch with Usyk on December 21st at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in the first fight between the two heavyweight titans, Fury has maintained a low profile while working in a rigorous training camp with fitness expert Sugar Hill Stewart. According to the judges' scorecards, Fury was outboxed by Oleksandr Usyk in the ring, defying the odds and demonstrating amazing athleticism to negate his opponent's height and reach. But now Fury looks the 36-year-old boxer is expected to use his size advantage against Usyk next month, as he seems to have put on muscle before the highly anticipated bout's 12th final round. The Wythenshawe-born boxer has been enlisting a variety of sparring partners in advance of the fight, with South African Kevin Lena being one of those employed by Fury's training team. In response to Fury's strong physique, one ex-fan said on the Daily Mail's website, "I feel like when Tyson Fury claims that Oleksandr Usyk did not surprise him or prove to be particularly difficult to fight back in May, it really doesn't matter whether you believe him or not. Architects typically deal with money, and both fighters must be willing to pay for it. The reason for the delay in that fight is that he's asking for too much or not enough, and you feel that you should receive the lion. All that really matters is that Tyson Fury has made the decision to say it more than once, and that he presumably believes it. Whether the rest of us agree or not is irrelevant. We just watched the fight and saw Usyk get hurt and nearly stop Fury in round 9 before settling for a fairly easy points victory. Cher doesn't get involved in all the business side anymore because it used to cause me a lot of stress." Tyson claps. This was our interpretation of the events, and while it is widely accepted, Fury's statement is still valid. He was the one experiencing the fight, not just watching it, and he had an insight that none of us outside the ropes could equal. Even Oleksandr Usyk, the guy he shared a ring with, will not be there in their rematch on December 21st. I'd prefer not to become involved because of stress and anxiety. Tyson is prepared to fight anyone, but they must give him what he is worth, and I don't think USC is worth 50-50 since you when asked yesterday if there was anything that surprised him about Usyk in May, Fury said on TNT Sports that, to be honest as I always am, it was actually easier than I thought it would be. I listened to Anthony Joshua and Tony Bellew, and they said that this guy is so hard to hit because he's the Matrix. So I'm thinking this guy must be really hard to hit and I'm expecting to miss him a lot. However, I've learned that without Tyson Fury, he can't sell Leo 2 out. In practical terms, he was much easier to hit than I had expected, and it made me a little complacent because I would hit him whenever I delivered an uppercut to the head, body, or feint. Of all the things said at the Wednesday launch press conference, this was one of the more intriguing, if only because you could sense the conviction that both it is possible that Fury was soundly defeated by Usyk in May, but he also left the fight with a belief, or at least some knowledge, that he had not had before, and that could be a deciding factor when these two heavyweights fight again because, in Fury's mind, Usyk is no longer a surprise or a mythical figure, rather, he is someone who was easier to hit than he anticipated and who only managed to get the upper hand and beat Fury because, according to his own theory, Fury became complacent and was enjoying himself too much. I need to be a little bit more focused and a little bit smarter to win, because, if any part of it is true, Fury should be fine in terms of confidence on December 21st. Ironically, he might even be more confident going into the rematch after losing the first fight. It's also important to note how the first fight changed and how the momentum shifted. You'll recall that after a while, when Fury seemed to be settling down, working Usyk's body, and looking on course to take over and pull away, it changed just as he was beginning to relax and feel good about himself. Back when he was undefeated yet, Usyk's opponent represented the unknown and created in him so much uncertainty. In other words, if you listen to Fury's account of Fight 1 and believe what he says, there is enough evidence in that fight to convince you that neither you nor Fury are going insane equally. He was getting ahead of himself and was a little complacent. Anyone who faced Mold once was eliminated in the rematch, so I'm expecting something similar in the second fight with Usyk. Show that Fury's opponent was more responsible for the battle's trajectory than Fury, which means that while if it's possible that Fury found Usyk easier to strike than anticipated and that the fight itself was easier than anticipated, what likely shocked him in speaking of John Fury's antics the May time he appeared, former world champion Anthony Cola delivered a biting critique of Tyson Fury's corner during the fight. The conclusion was that Oleksandr Usyk was still able to do to him what he has done to every opponent he has faced in his 22-fight professional career without knowing how, seeing it coming, or even realizing it. Given how she responded to the step-up, he has no problem with John Fury attending the forthcoming rematch despite his first fight with Oleksandr Usyk. The opponent's performances, in my opinion, are getting better and better. She had a lengthy training for this fight, and as I mentioned earlier, she has an amazing team around her. We're working hard in the gym with Buddy Domu over there. In May, the 37-year-old Usyk gave Fury his first professional loss, narrowly defeating him. With just more than a week until the heavyweights square off again, Fury's loss earlier this year prompted several boxing greats, including Ricky Hatton, to suggest that Fury should think about taking his father John off his corner for the upcoming bout. The two Titans are scheduled to settle their rivalry on December 21st in a highly anticipated rematch after his split decision victory in Riyadh. In their initial contact, CA entered the discussion about the corner pandemonium, characterizing it as in ruins. There's no denying that the corner was a bit shambles last time, Raid Claire said in an interview. You had a lot of great boxing brains in there, but there's no denying that the corner was a shambles. This time, there could be a voice in the corner with Sugar Hill Stewart, head coach Andy Lee, who is highly intelligent, and John Fury, who is very familiar with his kid. Although Tyson has always been excellent with the war words, I believe he made a mistake this time, and to be honest, Usyk played it brilliantly.